Mr. Schellenberger, I think you said earlier the U.S. has reduced carbon emissions and greenhouse gas. Greenhouse gas reduction has happened in America, right?
Yes, sir.
And that's significant, right?
Massive, the biggest in history. So
the biggest in history, much more than China or India, some of our bigger competitors economically, more than the European Union in absolute numbers, right?
Yes.
Is there any country in the world that's done better than the United States?
No.
So we're the best.
Yes.
The best when it comes to dealing with the climate.
By far.
Okay. So in the previous hearing about a year ago, the chairman asked the CEO of Chevron, are you embarrassed as an American company that your production is going up? That's a strange question to ask when we're reducing emissions. This is a critical energy source for our economy. As my friend from Louisiana said just a few minutes ago, that uplifts people all over our country and frankly around the world. When the American economy is strong, I think the world's a safer and better place. That's kind of a strange question. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
I mean, does the Congress, so the chairman said that he said the Republicans talk about, I think his quote was a war on the oil and gas industry. I don't know if it's a war, but when the chairman of an important committee in Congress tells a CEO, are you embarrassed that you're actually making more of your product? We don't do that to any other industry, do we?
No, I mean, not only that, but Meta, Facebook, Apple, and Google had profits of $39 billion, $30 billion, and $76 billion last year. And I didn't see this committee holding hearings on those profits, nor on the huge losses that the shale frackers had. From 2010 to 2020, U.S. shale frackers lost $300 billion. That did not happen in the high-tech industry in Congressman Khanna's district. Those firms did not suffer. Moreover, the Interior Department distributed just 200 leases for oil and gas development during President Biden's first 19 months in office. During Obama and Trump, there were 10 times as many leases. No president since Nixon has leased out fewer than 4.4 million acres during its first 19 months in office. Now, if I may, Congressman, I'll just add one thing, because there was a couple of pieces of information that people stated here that were incorrect. The first is that someone said that New York is moving away from gas. That's false. New York burned natural gas and oil, went from 77% to 89% of its electricity supply between 2020 and 2021, because New York shut down a perfectly functioning nuclear power plant. So New York is not moving away from gas. It became more dependent on gas because of the war on American energy. There was another statement that was made that hurricanes will become more frequent in the United States. That is also not the prediction of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. It supports the notion of a substantial decrease, 25%, in the overall number of Atlantic hurricanes and tropical storms. So in terms of misinformation, we've seen some here today.
So I think earlier you said that, when you look at the latter, I think there's a term you use, wood, coal, oil, gas, uranium. That's how the energy intensity you get from those moves up as you go up the ladder. Why does the left hate so much the two at the top that are clean, right? They're the clean, gas and uranium clean. Why do they hate them so much? What's your thoughts on it?
Because because they provide the most abundant energy. And if you think that Western civilization is bad, or if you think that human beings are bad, then you want to move towards energy dilute fuels, which provide too little energy to sustain Western civilization.
And that's scary. If that's in fact the case, that is scary. Is there a serious crisis brewing in Europe this year when it comes to energy and energy needs?
We have not begun to come to grips with how serious this crisis is. 70% decline in fertilizer production. The United Nations Food Program estimates that hundreds of millions of people will die from hunger-related diseases or from hunger this year.
And is pressuring American companies in a congressional hearing where you would say to the CEO of a major oil and gas company, are you embarrassed about production? I remember that hearing. It happened last October where the chairman went down the line, said, will you pledge today to decrease production? Why won't you? Decreasing production, would that help or hurt the situation in Europe? It's
going to result in more deaths from cold, pollution, and industrial collapse. It's going to be devastating.
Yeah, I think so too. And it's scary to think that politics is driving something that's going to harm families, people, communities in the European Union. And let's hope that same mentality doesn't catch hold here and do that kind of harm to the American families.
Sir, I would just add that the people that are suffering the most are the poorest countries. It's countries like Pakistan, which are being outbidded for LNG supplies by Europe, that are going to suffer the most. As usual, it will be the poorest countries in the world that will suffer the most from the war on natural gas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.